The city of Orchard Lake Village is a small, picturesque community comprising only 4 square miles. Although small in physical size, Orchard Lake is large in having a terrific, dedicated group of employees and volunteers who have created a collaborative community, forward-thinking city, adept at preserving and appreciating community assets. My name is Ann Juba, and I am from the Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission. Janet Overholt Green is retiring as city clerk for the city of Orchard Lake Village as of June 30th, 2011. She was hired as an assistant clerk in 1975 to replace her sister, Allison Kelsick, who had been working in that position since 1971. Janet's mom, Marion, had been working as a part-time clerk since 1972, and now Janet would be supervising her mom as Janet became a full-time assistant clerk. She became city clerk in 1977. Today we are honoring Janet's faithful and valuable service and highlighting 40 years of service that the Overholt family has contributed to the city. Janet, please introduce your mom, Marion, and your sister, Allison, and we will ask them to share some of their Orchard Lake memories.
These two people are responsible for connecting me with my career in Orchard Lake and the good people that live here. My mother was working for a local newspaper in the late 1960s. It was owned by the then Orchard Lake Mayor, Sil Leahy. The city was looking for some clerical help, and with my sister's college education upcoming, my mother recommended my sister, and she was hired. She worked for Orchard Lake as the assistant city clerk from 1971 to 1975. In 1972, when the Interlake News closed their doors, my mother went to work for the city as well, starting as a part-time clerical person, and worked through 1989 when she retired as the assistant city clerk. Here's my sister Allison.
One of the favorite memories I have of the time I worked at Orchard Lake was a humorous moment concerning a police officer. Many of the humorous moments concern police officers at Orchard Lake. We were dispatching the police at that time, along with all the other duties, and we took a call from an older gentleman who was extremely disturbed about an indecent exposure that was occurring in his neighborhood. So I dispatched the officer on duty and went back to doing my regular day-to-day work, and shortly after that, the officer called back in, and his response, he said, "I responded to the complaint and I sent my daughter home." His daughter had been in her very small bathing suit in the trees in this gentleman's yard. So we all got a good laugh out of that story.
Here's my mother, Marion K. Overholt.
Allison worked here first. She's my first child. Jan is my third child. And when Allison and her husband decided to go up the Upper Peninsula, Jan wanted to apply for the job at Orchard Lake. And she came to her first interview in jeans. And we thought, well, she won't get the job. And she came home and said, "I got the job, Mom, Dad." So that was the beginning of her career at Orchard Lake. And subsequently, I was retired from teaching and newspaper work. It was an editor of the Spinal Column at one time. And I thought I was retired, and Jan called me and said, "Mom, we're behind in our typing." We had electric typewriters, which we thought were wonderful. And could you come in for 2 or 3 days and help us catch up? And 17 years later is when I retired from Orchard Lake.
I left Orchard Lake in 1975, had my children and spent some time raising my children, but shortly after that went into public service again. Have been doing jobs in public service sector all of my career. I'm currently the supervisor of Rose Township in northwest Oakland County. And public service has been a part of my life since my first working year. City of Orchard Lake was my very first public service job.
Janet, the old City Hall is behind us. It was formerly a hotel. Can you give us a history of the building?
Sure. It was built originally in 1854 as a hotel and was later remodeled in 1938 to accommodate the then village offices. It remained the home of the City Hall until 1987 when the new building was constructed. At that time, the city leased the building to the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society as the Orchard Lake Museum.
Let's meander inside and you can give us some of your best memories from working in rather confined space. Being in the old City Hall brings back wonderful memories. I remember coming here in 1975. It was a bright, sunny building and two wonderful, friendly people were behind the counter, ready to dispense all kinds of good information about taxes and city services and registering to vote.
Hard to believe that this small space was the heart of the City Hall until 1987 when the new building was constructed. 3 of us worked in this room. We had a table, desks on each side of the fireplace, dispatch radios. We did dispatch during the day back at that time. There was a small front counter where residents would come in to pay taxes, pick up permits, and take care of other city business. The police chief had a small office. There was a small room for the building department, and the basement housed both the police department and record storage. It was less than ideal because it's a Michigan basement and we had a lot of water issues. The police department's conditions contributed greatly to the construction of the new City Hall.
We were in the little old City Hall, and it was painted white then, and I was running the police dispatch, and then I got a phone call and they said, "This is the White House calling." And I thought it was somebody being playing a joke on us. So I said, "Well, this is the little White House on the corner responding." And I found out it really was the White House, Washington. It was St. Mary's sesquicentennial, and they were sending congratulations to St. Mary's. So that's one time I opened my mouth too quickly. Many other stories that I would love to tell, but my girls have forbidden that I tell some of them yet. I will one day.
The Orchard Lake story continues as Janet and I leave the old City Hall and travel across the pavement to the new City Hall. We're going to be inside Janet's office. Looking back over your 36 years, can you share with us some of your memorable moments, your greatest achievements, your words of wisdom?
Well, I hate to pick out any single memorable moment for fear of leaving out others. Working with my fellow employees, supporting each other has been key. I have been so fortunate to work with such talent in this community. It really has made the job a breeze. With the support of a team on both sides, it makes the system work well. And as far as achievements, I think the greatest achievement is in helping residents work through city issues, a system that they often don't understand, they often need help with, and are appreciative when they get some help with it. That's a very rewarding thing. As far as words of wisdom, I guess my greatest encouragement would be for residents and council members and employees to work together to resolve issues. Politics has no place in City Hall at this level. Residents can make changes in their community and employees can as well. It's just so important that everybody work together.
Janet, please describe your duties as city clerk.
My duties in the city clerk's position vary greatly, from communications to bookkeeping to human resources, managing the day-to-day business of the city. Communications is one of the keys, acting as an ombudsman between planning commissions, boards, council members, a lot of varying interest employees, and acting as a liaison between the groups. I attend meetings of all the boards and commissions appointed by the City Council, and so that keeps me up to date and I can share information among them. One of the biggest responsibilities I have is to maintain the city finances, including budgeting, accounting, all the bookkeeping and planning that's required to keep the city rolling. The duties have become more complex over the years, and we have grown from using the mimeograph machine to the wireless remote equipment that everybody has today. So it made a much more complex system, but also a much better system. Probably the biggest challenge in this position is to balance the competing interests that you serve. Their residents, employees, council members all have a different approach, a different interest in all of the challenges that we face day to day. And to balance those to keep everyone happy is sometimes difficult. But every year we work for somebody new. A new mayor comes in, new council members are elected. So what we did 5 years ago is not really going to get us anywhere today. So that is a difficult thing, but we also bring with us the history to help the new people so that they can do their jobs too.
What are some of the city's milestones during your time as city clerk?
Well, the water sewer construction projects certainly were a milestone. That was a very difficult project for the residents to live through, for the council members, employees. It was very disruptive to build a system in an already developed community. Some of the other milestones included purchasing and selling the Marshbank property off of Commerce Road. The city bought the property, deed restricted it, sold it, made enough money to pave Indian Trail. That was important. Also, construction of the City Hall building in 1987 was a milestone. As you saw in the old building, there wasn't much space, so this new building was a relief for the employees and for the residents. It's much more comfortable to have meetings in a nice new building than in the DPW garage. So that was a milestone as well. The upgrade in fire service. We're served by the Tri-City Fire Department for years, and it was a good department, but a later upgrade to contracting with West Bloomfield for full-time 24-hour advanced life support was a big improvement for the residents of the city. Also helped with their fire insurance ratings and hopefully lowered their premiums. But we've had many interesting things happen in elections, including a tie vote in 1981 between council members. 2 council members running for a seat received the exact same number of votes and had to be resolved with the Oakland County Elections Commission coming out, putting 2 pieces of paper in a hat. One said elected and one said not, and they picked them out of the hat to determine the winner. Bob Newton won that election and served a 3-year term. From 1989, 90, 91, the city went from 0 debt in the previous 30 years to $25 million in debt. We purchased the Orchard Lake Nature Sanctuary, built a citywide sewer system and a citywide public water system. The voters approved all 3 of those debt fundings, and I'm glad that in 2 years the city will be able to say that it's debt-free and that the city tax rate will reflect that. And the city has annual recognition dinners where volunteers to boards, commissions, councils are recognized for all their hours of service that they put in with no compensation.
I'm Bruce McIntyre. I'm the mayor of the city of Orchard Lake Village. I moved here in 1983 into the oldest house in the city, the oldest house in many miles around here, as a matter of fact. First part of it built in the 1830s. And from the time I got here, I believed, always have, that you should be involved in the community and the affairs of the community. So I got on the Planning Commission in the late 90s, and then I was elected to the City Council in 98, and I've been pretty much on there constantly since then. We have an unusual situation in Orchard Lake. The City Council is prohibited from receiving any compensation. Not that we want it, but the city charter says you can't have any. And so we're really volunteers. The mayor is elected by the council every year. We have 3-year terms on the council, but the council elects the mayor from its own members. and I've been honored to be the mayor now for 5 or 6 years. It's been a very, very interesting job, and I believe, not due to anything I've done, that this is a very well-managed community. It's a beautiful community. People really love to be in Orchard Lake. Now, we were talking about Jan and the fact that Jan Green is leaving, which is a major change in this city. It's probably the biggest thing that's happened to us since I moved here, as a matter of fact, because Jan's been here for so long that nobody can imagine it any other way. I knew Jan probably for a few years even before I moved here, so it's been over 30 years now. And there's a term you sometimes hear called institutional memory, meaning that people who've been around a long time know things that other people simply don't know or don't remember. And I think the biggest loss we're going to have with Jan, apart from her overall ability, which is tremendous, is the institutional memory. She just knows everything about this city. The people, the history, the ins and outs, everything. So it's just going to be a remarkable loss to us when she leaves. You know, I've worked so closely with Jan for so many years now. You know, I'm here every couple of days, and I'm on the phone with Jan almost every day with something. And it's just such a remarkable personal relationship that I've had with her over the years. So easy all the way around to work with somebody like Jan. And it's, you know, whatever she does, and she wants to travel, I know, but I think I kept telling her, and we had lunch today, you've got to come back and see us. Don't stay away. You know, it would really be a trip.